Hi there, welcome to Hickorycroft Farm. I'm Stephanie, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the cost of raising rabbits from start to butcher, basically. Now, previously we have done a series on raising rabbits and things you need to know about housing, feeding, butchering, things to know before you get into rabbits, and we will link series 1 or episode 1 up here, and maybe we'll put some other links down in the description. I also recently did a video answering a viewer's question on what we feed as a grain mixture rather than pellets. So I will also link that video below and up in the top as well. But one thing that I wanted to touch on that developed from that video where we talked about the grain mixture is the actual cost of feeding a rabbit. Now, this was something that, to be honest, it actually came as quite an eye-opener for us going through this exercise, because it had been probably, I want to say 4 years since I actually calculated out the cost for us to feed a rabbit. Now, by no means do I view that as necessarily the important be-all and end-all to why we raise rabbits. Rabbit is an exceptionally easy animal to raise for meat. All those great things that come from growing your own meat, and you can grow them pretty much anywhere. As you've seen in our housing video, we keep ours in hutches outdoor 24/7 all year long and have had no issues. It works great, and that they don't require a lot of space, which is great compared to some of the bigger animals. But the one thing that I am finding after doing this exercise is that there's only a very, very small margin where before you hit the tipping point where it becomes a lot more expensive to raise that meat. Now we've worked it out. I did the grain mixture, and all the ratios were in my last video. But I'll quickly just kind of go through it. And I apologize. This is going to pretty much be a stand in front of the video today. But I think it's important information that I should get out there. Now, if you were to feed straight pellets to an adult rabbit, it costs about 20 cents a day. We feed a 1-cup dish. So if you took that amount and times it by the 365 days a year, that's $73 Canadian now to feed that one of our breeding herd, group of bunnies. To feed one of our breeders for 1 year is $73 Canadian. Now, we keep, on average, 10 breeding rabbits just to provide us the genetic diversity that we are hoping for. The options were complete pellet feed or complete grain feed, the mixed grain that we make. Now, the pelleted feed costs about 20 cents a day per adult rabbit. The grain feed, the mixed grain, was around 15 cents a day. Now, it doesn't seem much when you break it down to the day, but it does make a big difference when it comes to the final amount spent on an animal at butcher. Now, when we butcher our rabbits, we do butcher at 14 weeks usually, or about 5.5 to 6 pounds. If we can get more than that, that's even great too. But usually around the 14-week mark is what we aim for. Now, if you factor in that the first few weeks you're not feeding that bunny anything, and then you're we kind of start out, the first 3 weeks we don't really feed much extra. Then the next 3 are about half a portion per little bunny, and then 3/4 of a portion up to the full portion. So with the grow out of a 14-week rabbit, the pellets worked out to costing $11.50 a rabbit. Now, keep in mind, this is not putting anything extra on the plate. This is not factoring in that some days we go out and we collect grass, or we take things out of the garden, or we just feed hay. So there are lots of ways to bring that cost down. But for this exercise, I was doing purely pelleted diet, bringing everything to that animal in their cage putting it in the hopper. So it was either purely pelleted or purely the grain mixture. So pellets worked out to $11.50 per rabbit at butcher weight. The grain mixture, if you did purely grain mixture, worked out to $8.69 for one 14-week-old rabbit. Now, again, when I'm calculating this out, I'm not factoring in my breeding flock or any of the expenses involved with that. I haven't factored in things like wood shavings for litter boxes or minerals or all those little things. This is purely feed pumped into the rabbit to get the final product. Chris would say this is where it becomes very apparent that raising rabbits is very hard to be scaled up. It's not a commercial endeavor because there just is no way to get that cost down to something that actually seems feasible. But I wanted to go through this exercise and share it with you to just really break it down, because we have some rabbits which I'll take you over to what James fondly calls the mega hutch. Here is our mega hutch. And as you can see, it's full of adult bunnies. This is a prime example of when it comes to raising rabbits, how important it is to create a schedule and stick with that schedule. It really is detrimental to your bottom line the longer you keep those. Now those bunnies there, I don't even know. I'd have to go check the calendar, but they're at least 2 months past butcher age. And it just has come down to time and poor time management, probably. Other things have always come up, and butchering bunnies just kind of goes on the backside, the back burner, because we have the space for them right now, and they're not causing a problem. And you know, you try and butcher the roosters because they're being loud and you don't want to irritate anything. There's tons of excuses. Bottom line is, from doing this exercise, we have discovered that we need to create a calendar, a regime, and make sure we stick with it, because those bunnies are costing us an extra 15 to 20 cents a day to keep them going. And they're not really putting on substantial weight at this point anymore. We do sometimes find, even coming up to between 14 and 16, even 17 weeks, you're still going to see growth. You're going to see another pound. But beyond that, there's very little change in that rabbit besides fat collection. Now, the one thing we have said that's going to come out very nice from these bunnies that we haven't butchered yet is they're into their winter fur. So we're going to actually, when we butcher them, save that fur and try doing some tanning this winter, which we will definitely video for you. But it's definitely been a learning exercise, and I did want to share that sort of information with you, and just kind of expressing the importance of factoring in all that sort of stuff when you look into what you're going to get into with your rabbits. We definitely find the advantage for us being the fact that we have Champagne d'Argents. We have a purebred rabbit which we can sell. This year, you know, it has been a great year for us for bunny sales, and I've managed to almost sell enough rabbits to cover the cost of my breeding herd. And that is great, because then that's not factored into the meat consumption part. Now, saying that, we have put very few animals into the freezer, and even less into our cat food, which is another very, very important reason that we have the bunnies, is for our raw cat food. And we're slowly increasing in cats, so we need more food. After going through the numbers, this is something that is quite important to us, I think, when we're looking at $750 just to keep our breeding flock going for the year. And then with the cost per grow out, you're not really getting the benefit of the meat to the point that it's also paying for the parent rabbits. So I think it's definitely something to consider, and information that I sure wanted to share, and I hope you found it helpful. And I I think that's it.